Starting in verse 4, King David is writing this, the same David that defeated Goliath, says this, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. You've made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime is just a moment to you. At best, each of us is but a breath. So the first thing we got to do to leverage time for good, I think, is found right there. Number one is this: we need to understand time well. We need to understand time well. I want everyone to participate in a little thing with me here, okay? So this is an all skate. Everyone involved, remember all skates, by the way? That was awesome at the skating rink. Couple skate terrified because my palms sweat, but all skate, hey, let's all go out there, we're all good. So this is an all skate. I want everyone to put out your hand like this with the palm out front. Everyone put out your hand like this, okay? Now hit the person next to you. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. Some of you are way too excited and way too ready to hit the person you came with, all right? Put your hand out like this. We're not going to hit anybody. This is not checking to see if you need a manicure or how cute your manicure is. This is your reminder of time. The back of your hand is the reminder of time. You can put your hands down. Psalm 39:5, go back to that. David said, you've made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime's a moment to you, God. At best, each of us is but a breath. Gone. This all got me thinking about my own life and how much time I really have. I'm not having a midlife crisis, don't worry. None of us really know how much time we have, do we? None of us. Like, we're not guaranteed the next day, let alone the next decade, right? Job, in the book of Job in the Old Testament, he says this about God. Job 14, verse 5, God, you have decided the length of our lives. You know how many months we will live, and we are not given a minute longer. So again, this all got me thinking, how long do I have left? I'm 44 years old right now, right? Or 44 years young, however you want to look at it. I was out for a walk earlier this week with my daughter Jada. We were out walking the dogs, a beautiful night. I don't remember why we were talking about how old we were, but we were talking about how old each of us were. And I was like, can you believe I'm 44? And my daughter Jada said, you don't look like you're 44. Like, you look like you're in your 30s or something. I said, you are my favorite child. And she said, no, seriously, Dad. She said, when I tell my friends you're 44, they all think that you can't be over 35. I'm like, here's my credit card, buy whatever you want. So I'm 44 years old. The average American male lives 78.74 years. We'll round that up to 80 just to keep it simple, and we're going to do some math here in a second. So if I meet the average lifespan of 80 years, I'm currently 44 years old, that means I have a portion of my pinky, of my ring finger left, and the rest of my pinky if it's the width of my hand. I'm trying to be careful here with what I do with my fingers pointing at you. That's how long I have left. My life's but the width of my hand. And when I think about that, I wish my pinky was fatter. Some more time left. So I actually measured my pinky, my hand. I put my hand down on paper, I marked two sides, I measured it, and it came out to 4.5 inches, roughly 4.5 inches wide is the width of my hand. So I'm gonna round it down to 4, because we're gonna do some math here in a second. And I thought, okay, average hand is 4 inches wide, our life's but the breadth of our hand. What can we do to illustrate how small, how brief our life is? I wanted something in the room to compare, 4 inches to get the scope of it. And so I measured, actually, guys, you can get ready for that wide shot here. I measured the width of the platform. So not counting the diagonal sections, just the center width is 42, I believe, if I remember correctly, 42 feet wide. So if you times that by inches, represented on the platform, if you divide the inches on the platform by 4, there are 126 lifetimes represented on this platform. If you multiply that by 80 years, it's 10,080 years of lifetimes on this platform. Sometimes I don't want to lay down and put my hand up on the thing, so, That's how long your life is. in comparison to 125 others. So life, mine, boom, gone. And time continues. Like, we're a blip on the radar. Literally a blip in the concept of time. And yet we consume our 4 inches with ourselves. So I wanted to get a little bit more personal, a little bit more specific, and I got a ruler out. I was like, well, if life is 4 inches, then on a ruler, there's 3 lifetimes. Only 3. So for parents in the room, you have your life, your kid's life, potentially your grandkid's life, and then you're all gone. All of you. If you're not a parent, then you have your parents' life, your life, and the next generation that you can pour into, and then you're all gone. 3 lifetimes in 12 inches. This was super helpful for me to recognize how limited my time is, and so I wanted to be helpful for you. And so we got 1,000 of these rulers printed. We'll see if we can zoom in on this thing here. We got 1,000 of these rulers printed, and we'll give them away until they're gone. But it's got the Element Church logo on there, our main scripture for today, and then a math equation, 4 inches equals 1 lifetime. And so as you go out today, they're at the doors. You can grab one and take one with you. I encourage you to put it somewhere you'll see it to remind you of how brief your time is. Put it somewhere somebody will ask you about it, at desk at work or something. Talk about leveraging time. Put it where someone will say, what's that? You can tell them about what we've been talking about in this series. Time's not meant to be managed for God. It's meant to be leveraged for good. So how do we leverage time? Lord, teach me to realize how brief my time is. My life's the width of my hand. I got to understand time well.